Hi, welcome to Garden Cafe. I'm Maureen, and this is my Central Texas Zone 8B 9A garden. This entire video is going to be about propagating plants. There's a lot of benefits to it. Number one, propagation is basically you take a plant that you love and you clone it. Some plants do very well using this, and others do not. And I'll review some of the kind of tips and tricks I've learned along the way. There are many reasons why you might want to propagate a plant. One is you love it, you know it's going to die over the winter, and you really want to have it for next spring. So if you propagate it and you grow it inside during the worst part of the winter, you can plant it back out and you have your beautiful plant back again. Another benefit to it is if you have, I do this at my sister's house all the time. If you know somebody who has a plant you absolutely love, you can simply cut a piece of it off, propagate that, and you can have it in your own yard. I'll go through the different tips as we go along, but let's get started on the first one. I'm going to start with the plant that started it all, this money tree plant. About a little over 5 years ago, I retired, and of course, when you retire, you kind of retire with a view of what's going to occur in the future. But 3 months after I retired, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and sad, traumatic drama. She passed away 5 years ago next week. And then 2 months after that, my husband was diagnosed with cancer, and he's fine. Thank God, he's fine. 7 months after my mother passed away, my father was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So drama, trauma, sadness. I was a mess for probably a year and a half. And then everything got quiet and everything settled down. It was, where do we go from here? One of the things that I got from my mother was this money tree plant. And she loved this thing. She had it, well, I can remember helping her place it finding a location. My parents moved all the time, finding a location in a house they moved into 20 years ago. My sister remembers helping her place it 30 years ago. I have no idea how old this thing is, but it's pretty old. To my knowledge, that plant always lived in this little container. Don't know how, but it did. When I did get it, I watered it, but I was the person, I think I've stated several times in past videos, I'd kill a cactus in a week. I love flowers, but if someone gave me a pot of flowers, I would either overwater, underwater, too much sun, not enough, so I'd kill it. I was terrible. So I was probably the worst person in the world for this plant to end up with, but I had it, and it really meant a lot to me to keep it going. So my sister, because I was so chicken, when you looked in here, all you saw was roots. There wasn't even any soil in it. So my sister helped me as carefully as possible pry it out of this container, and we upplanted it. Now, since then, obviously, I've upplanted it again. And it's living, and it's fabulous. And as I stated, this is 5 years later. But this is what started. This was the catalyst to my entire gardening journey. Taking care of this gave me the interest to start the front swoop garden that I was just standing in front of, and the side gardens and no-till garden. It just expanded and it steamrolled, and I gained more confidence as I went along. So let's get down to brass tacks here. A money tree plant, for the most part, has, well, let me tell you first, this is one leaf. Now, originally, I obviously counted each one as a leaf, but no, this is considered one leaf, and then the stem goes back to the main trunk or stem of the plant. If it has 6 leaves, it's considered very, very lucky. You'd have to look into the history of it. It's got a long story, but it's considered a very lucky plant, hence the name money tree plant. If it has 7 leaves, it's considered extra lucky, and if it has 8, it's considered super lucky. So kind of fun, but anyway, that's just the background. This plant has never been pruned, never been trimmed, and it has one long stalk, just one single, with a bunch of leaves growing off of the side. When I first looked into propagating these, because I would like to propagate them and give them to my siblings so that everybody has, one of my mother's money tree plants. But all of them say you follow a branch to the end. Well, this is one branch. Again, as many years as it's been growing, it's never been pruned. So anyway, then I ended up with, well, what do I do? Because I really was terrified of killing this thing. So what I ended up doing, is I cut off the top. Holding my breath, biting my lip, cut off the top. Now here's the deal. When you're propagating a money tree plant, what you need is a minimum of 3 leaves. And as I said, this is considered 1 leaf. So you need 3 of these. 1, and I'm not doing it now, I'm just showing you what I did. 1, 2, 3. And then you need a minimum of 2 leaf nodes. Leaf nodes are right where the leaf starts growing out of the stem, so here. And basically what you would do is break off 2 of the leaves, and then you put it in water, and roots grow out of where those leaves are. But so minimum of 3, and they, from what I read, even up to 5 is better, and minimum of 2 leaf nodes that will sit in the water and grow the roots. And I was absolutely thrilled when I realized I have new growth out the top where I cut it, and it still looks healthy, so I didn't hurt it, which really, I was amazed and absolutely thrilled. And here are my 2 propagation attempts. And this literally was the top of the money tree, cut it off, counted a minimum of 3, and in this case there are 4 leaves, took off 2 of the lower leaves, and look at that, roots. This one is just about to ready to get planted, and I'll go into how to do that. So I'm thrilled. This was the topmost part of the plant. So that was fabulous. This was the next section underneath that first section, and it's not doing as well. There's no serious roots. There are a few that are coming out, so I'm not giving up on him. I'm gonna leave him in here and see if he'll grow any roots. So let's get this planted up. Here it is. So terrified of messing this up. But the best assets when you're learning how to garden, when you're starting something new, for me, it was my sister. She is the bravest person in the garden I know. She will dig up and move plants 4 or 5 times if they're not doing well, or if she wants them at a different, she just goes for it. And her gardens are gorgeous. So she is definitely the number 1 person I turn to. Second is YouTube. Frankly, there is just so much information out there on just about everything with gardening. And then on top of that, you often get some keywords that you can look up in Google to get a better idea of what you can do in any specific, anything really, any plant. So what I settled on, because everybody has a different opinion, is as far as the money tree plant, you use soil 50-50, 50% soil, 50% perlite. Seems like a lot, but I'm going to trust the what I did find out online. All right, and see what happens. And again, this is my first one, and I'm truly hoping this works out well. So 50-50, that's a lot. That's about right. And then I'm going to put in some Biotone, plant tone. I'm kind of mixing a few different suggestions together that I was able to find out. So we'll mix all of this up. And I found these planters are so expensive these days. But I went to one of those dollar stores, the Dollar Tree or I don't remember what the name of it was, but they had just planters at fabulous prices. And on top of that, there was a huge sale. So I bought the last 4 or 5 of them. And I'm going to say I got this as ceramic, and I got it for, I want to say $3. It was hardly anything. It was pretty inexpensive, especially, as I said, nowadays it seems they are just ridiculously expensive. And I'm just going to put some of this in here. Let's see how much we need. Yeah, I think right about there. Obviously, this planter is bigger than this particular little cutting needs, but I'd prefer to start it in a pot that I want it to continue with. I would rather start it where I want it to end. So this little guy is going to get this pot all to himself. And if the other one decides to start sprouting roots, I will do the same with that one. I've got, as I said, I bought a few of these different colors, but they're all pretty nice. And I'm going to put this pot right back in the bathroom where I have it. Mom's money tree plant seems to really like that spot. I don't know if it's the humidity from my husband and I taking showers, or if it's the lighting, the filtered lighting through that window. I have no idea, but it does well there. So this little guy is going to start his life back where he started. And we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I only have a little water here in the cup, but I will obviously water this very well. And fingers crossed, it grows into a beautiful plant. And obviously, with this one, I'm going to make sure I prune it the way I'm supposed to, so I get multiple branches and it's more, but it's a bushier plant going forward, and make it a lot easier to propagate in the future. Funny side note, my husband and I went with some friends out to dinner last night, and I saw this 8-foot Esperanza. Absolutely stunning, in full bloom, yellow Esperanza. I have an orange one in the backyard. So I couldn't help myself. I cut a branch off of it and brought it home. I don't have any idea whether Esperanza is one of the plants that will propagate easily, but I guess I'm going to find out. Anyway, back to the money tree plant. My next propagation is on my Rose of Sharons. This is usually stunning white blooms. I have a white Rose of Sharon in the front and a bluish purple Rose of Sharon, maybe even a little pink Rose of Sharon towards the house. Right now it's not blooming. I'll put a photo up in the corner here showing what it is in full bloom, but end of summer, it's tired. But I'm going to go ahead and do some propagating off of this. I did it last year with great success, but apparently I did more white branches, more white Rose of Sharon than that pinkish purple blue one. And I want more of that pinkish purple blue. So I'm going to try to figure out which branches go to the pinkish purple blue one that I'm looking for. So this is on the other side. Now I seem to remember that this was the white one and this one was the pink purple bluish color one. So what we need to do is find a branch and cut it all the way back at the base, and then we'll use sections to propagate this one. So let me get my clippers. All right, so hopefully you can see this well enough. I'm just going to take a branch off of the Rose of Sharon, and I'm going to try to get as close to the main trunk as I can. So there we go. And let's take this into the garage. I turned the camera around because the sun was too hot for my iPad. Yes, it's the last week of October, but in Texas, we're still hitting 90 degrees. Still no rain. So I'm hoping that happens soon. So this is the branch that we just cut. And just an FYI, this is kind of funny. So these guys grow gorgeous flowers, and then the flowers turn into, and someday I'm going to learn the scientific terms, these little acorns. Let's see if I can get that. I mean, I call them acorns. They sort of look like it, but obviously these would eventually have seeds in them. So when I was in Houston, and I'm just cutting these off for the moment because we do not want the energy going to making seeds. But when I was in Houston, I saw these incredibly gorgeous Rose of Sharon, stunning flowers. So I took a few of the, again, I'm going to say acorns, off of those Rose of Sharon and brought them home. And then I started watching YouTube videos and reading up online on how do you get the seeds out of them, what's the best way to do that. And every single person, I'm just going to get soil ready so that we can put these cuttings in there. Every single video said you'll leave them on the plant until they turn a dark brown and they start opening up, and then you can get the seeds. Of course, the ones I took were just bright green, but I don't know. I left them. It's all an experiment. That's, you know, the name, the name of my channel. This is all new to me, but I figured, well, why throw them away? And then when they dried out a little, I opened them up and put them in some soil. And I brought these out from the porch. They're growing. I don't know if you can see. They're growing. Now, I have no idea if they're going to grow into beautiful Rose of Sharon plants. I don't know at this point, but they're growing. Again, it's all an experiment. We'll see. Now, I am mixing up the rest of the soil that I used with the money tree plant. It does have perlite. Rose of Sharon really needs nothing special. It does not need really special sunlight. Really special soil. It doesn't need special fertilizer. These guys just seem to really enjoy Texas native soil, which is almost entirely clay. Okay, so I'm just going to throw some soil in here. And again, no big deal. Nothing important, nothing needed. And I'm just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these for now. Last year, I did like 20 of these. That was when I started propagating and kind of lost my mind a little. I really didn't expect fabulous results. I never do when I start these out. Or when I'm learning something new, I just follow instructions and see what happens. But I swear 8 out of 10 of the, just about all of them propagated and started growing leaves and were just beautiful. I gave several to my sister and several to neighbors, and stupidly did not mark clearly pink or white, or the pink, purple, blue one, or white. So somehow I ended up with almost entirely white Rose of Sharons in my backyard, which, by the way, I love, but I want more color with it too. So I'm going to do 5 of the, again, pink, purple, blue. I don't know what color you want to call it. So here's the deal. Now, has nothing to do with growing at all, but whatever you plant has got to be planted in this direction, the way the plant grows out from the base. If you plant it upside down, it doesn't work. And that actually happened with the first few I did because I wasn't paying attention. On YouTube, they made a suggestion of cutting an angled cut. Let me see if I can get in closer here. All right. So making an angled cut for the bottom and then a straight across cut for the top, like that. Again, doesn't help with the planting, doesn't help with the growing, but when you do put these into the pots, you know what direction to put them in, because you're going to strip most of these leaves off, if not all. And by the way, any leaves that do remain on these die. They look like dead sticks. I was shocked when, as I said last year, I looked at my dead sticks that I was watering once a week, and leaves were growing, and they were gorgeous. But they definitely seem to go into some hibernation. So again, this next section is going to break off here. So it breaks off into 2 branches. So I'm going to make a smaller one here. Again, angled cut, just so I know where the bottom is. And I'm just going to cut it right where it joins with the other 2 branches. Oh, good Lord. Okay, that one doesn't want to be cut. There we go. Got it. That's the second one. I'll cut these apart. Again, angled cut at the base, straight cut at the top. There's 3. Angled cut at the base, straight cut at the top. And this is not like the money tree plant where you have to have 3 leaves and you have to have 2 nodes. And I mean, it seems just, you know, intuitive to me. You want at least 2 leaf nodes. And again, where the leaf joins with the plant, when you pull those leaves off, that little spot there where the leaves coming out, that's a leaf node. That's where your roots are going to come out. Okay, so just cut that one at an angle. And then up here kind of gets wonky. This is where it branched out. I'm not going to cut off that entire top. I think I'll just cut it there. I mean, it's got branching here. Curious to see what happens with that one. That's 5, but I still have a little bit more. So again, that was that branched off area. You don't want that. So angled cut here for the direction, and a straight cut up here. Okay, so I have 6. So let's see how we do with these. All right. These leaves take a lot of energy. And with most plants, you definitely want most of the energy of the plant to go into creating new roots, especially when you're doing propagating. So you want to take off, I'm telling you, all but 1 or 2. And even that, I'll do this, you know, if it's something big, I'll just cut that leaf. So just a little bit. You just need a teeny bit of energy for it to go into roots. And again, with Rose of Sharon, don't panic, no concerns, no worries. These leaves are going to fall off. They absolutely will die. They will fall off, and it's going to look like a dead stick. If you just can't wait, and I will, you know, I think I did after the first month or 2, the last year when I did this, is I did take one out of the pot and carefully, you know, dripped away the soil and saw that there were roots. So I replanted it. It did, and the leaves grew, and again, shocking, but it works. Next is, now everybody says, and I've been hearing this so much more, of course, after I did it wrong for the last year, you don't dip this directly in the pot. Now, I've done that so many times. This is almost gone. I am going to order, and it's a rooting hormone. I am going to order another one, and I'll do it the correct way. I guess you're supposed to tap it out, you know, onto a separate surface and get the rooting hormone on it and then plant it, you know, so there's no contamination. I agree that's probably the most intelligent way, but so far, every plant I propagated has been done through this, and it has worked. So I'm not going to concern myself too much, and I have a massive Rose of Sharon bush out there, so if something does go wrong, I can redo it again. No biggie. So basically, just get some on there. I just tap it in. It's no biggie. Just a little bit. For some reason, it does help with the rooting. And do that. And that's it. And I'm going to do it a few more times. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to get these watered. And here is another tip that I've learned. Wherever you're propagating plants, you want to make sure that you let these little guys grow in the same environment that the mother plant has been growing well in. So, since this is outdoors, an outdoor plant, I'm going to put it out on the front porch, not in the absolutely brutal Texas sun, although, as I said, that's where it is now. But it'll be out in the front porch in the same heat, the same humidity, all of the same uh, environmental conditions that the Rose of Sharon is in the last several years. And that's also why I did the money tree plant, put it back in my bathroom with higher humidity, 72 degrees, and the filtered light through the window, because the mother plant has been doing so well there for the last 5 years. All right, that's it on Rose of Sharon. These geraniums, oh my gosh, they bloomed so gorgeous all summer, which is sort of bizarre for my area, with a high heat and drought. But they did fabulous. Now you can see they're kind of suffering. I've been deadheading, but there's been more deadheading than actual flowers. So this is one of the ones that I plan on propagating. Myself, one of the reasons this geranium did so well, I believe, is I planted it so densely. Literally the roots, the whole bottom of the plant has been basically darkness and shade, which really helps keep it cooler, helps it use water a little bit better. I'm just deadheading here a little bit before I take the cuttings. And these cuttings will be done basically the same way we did, almost the same way as we did the money tree plant. These will be propagated in water rather than soil. So the idea is to look down in here for a branch where you can get a few nodes for roots to grow out of. I'm just going to take a few cuttings. Obviously, this is a lot more than what we're going to need, but that's one. And I'll cut that back inside. Let's see, another one. Wow, this is a bit overgrown. Let me see if I can find another one. That looks good. There's another one. And I think I'm going to take about 5 here. 3. Let's see if something up here. Those are big branches. I don't know how well they'd root. I'm trying to find some that have, I don't know, a little more green. Not sure if that would make a difference, but just seems to me these woodier branches, heavier, woodier ones, might have a bit more difficulty growing roots. But we will see. And I'm looking for, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. I want one more. Let's take one from here. That one looks good. Okay, so we have our 5. Let's take it into the garage. I use simple water bottles, just fill them with water. They seem to do best in these, and it doesn't cost any extra money. Okay, so we're going to look at these. You want to take off the lower leaves. Everywhere you see these bumps, these are where the leaves come out. These are called leaf nodes. This is where the roots will come out. You don't need this many, but for sure, you can see in here, there are a few buds for flowers. We definitely want no flower buds. Second, unlike the money tree that requires 3 to 5 leaves for it to grow roots, these do not require that. You want just enough leaf to get it energy to grow roots, but you want none of the energy directed to making the leaves larger, growing them larger, or growing new ones. So that's about it. And put it in the water. Actually, I'm going to cut some of this off. This stem is way too long. I think I'll cut it right about there. Okay, so, and you just pop it in the water. Simple as that. 2.5, 3 weeks. Should have some root growth. And we'll be able to upplant it into pots. So let's get these other ones. And that's it. You don't want these in direct sunlight. You want them in the shade. This is one of those that work a little bit different as far as putting it right next to the mother plant. It really does need to have some protections while it's growing the roots. So these will go out on the front porch in the where we don't get direct sun. I have quite a few begonias in my yard. Oh, that coleus is so pretty. I definitely want to get some seeds off of that. All right, so here are some of the begonias I'd like to get cuttings of. Okay, so I'm just going to get a few off of these. I'll do this one here. And I'm just going to cut down farther on the branch. Of course, I'll shorten it once I take the leaves off. And maybe this one here. This looks very overgrown. Yeah. Okay, so those two. And then let's get a couple of these. This one looks good. And let's do one more branch. I think I'll do this one here. Okay. So, and this will all fill back in. So the ones that I already took clippings from, those are partial sun, and they did well in partial sun. These over here, and then there's a white one buried behind the ageratum. They did very well in complete shade. This area gets 0 sun, just bright light. So let's get a few cuttings off of these. Do this one. And these were much better a few months ago. They survived the summer, so you got to give them that. Get rid of some of these leaves. Okay, let me get some of the white. Now I have the white begonias in that front planter, the ones in the total sun. And they are all wax begonias, but this is a different variety. I'm not sure if it is just different because of where it grew, or if it's different because of its actual different species, or I have no idea, or kind of begonia, but this one prefers shade, total shade. So all right, all of these cuttings, let's go back to the garage. All right, first things first, let's get some soil in the containers. And these are just containers I reuse over and over and over again. Anytime I do buy anything from one of the garden stores, I just save all of the pots because I do end up using them. All right, so nothing special here. I mean, this is just leftover soil from when we did the rows of Sharon plants. Nothing special. And I will use the rooting hormone again on the cuttings. All right. So again, leaf nodes, that's where your roots will come out. We don't need that many, so I'm just going to shorten it, 45-degree angle, cut underneath one of the leaf nodes, and then just take the leaves off. You want to leave just a few leaves. You want most of the energy in this plant to go into creating roots, and obviously you have to get rid of any flower buds or flowers. Those take the most energy. All right, I'm gonna cut that. I think that's good. Okay, so that's one. All right, so next stage is to dip these in rooting hormone and simply put them in the soil and then water it. And again, all of these, the mother plants, are in the shade. They're in the heat outside, but they are in the shade. So all of these starters will be started in the shade on the front porch. And again, I do know dipping this directly into the rooting hormone is not a good plan, but I've been doing it through most of my gardening, and that jar has been used so many times that I'm not going to worry about it. When I get the new jar, the next one, I will be more careful. I'll pour the powder out onto a different surface. But for now, let's just plant these up. And that's literally all I'm doing. Poking a hole, rooting hormone, putting it in the hole, and then putting the soil around it. I think I'm going to add some more soil to some of these. Are pretty low, and I want to cover another leaf. Well, that's it for the propagation video, at least for now. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe, like, or leave comments. I'd love to hear from you.